Okay. Yeah.
Here.
I think I can hear you guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Ciao.
Hi.
How many cities do we have now?
Here on the live, it's Amsterdam, Lisbon,
Amazing.
Porto,
Hi there.
Oh, great.
and the SHORTCUTZ Network, Sandra Almeida. Our partners that are helping us in these movie talks, SHORTCUTZ Network, they are helping us. The Student Hotel, Book, and Paul.
Hey. Hey.
And our partner festival from Italy, Adriatic Film Festival, and Guido is here.
Ciao.
Hola.
Ciao. Nice to meet you. Ciao.
So, first of all, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the SHORTCUTZ Network. I know that you have been briefed deeply about it, but SHORTCUTZ Network, it's 21 different cities spread around 3 different continents. So each city, it's composed of a bunch of cool people. They try to, through the new talent and short films, put their talent of their countries in the spotlight and help young talents to make a shortcut to an audience, to amazing persons like you that can give them tips to do a shortcut in their careers, and to a lot of opportunities that we can manage for them. So having you here is a
Thank you guys for having me.
And of course, our communities are literally on fire with this opportunity to ask you some questions. And you have been stunning us. With when we saw you as a Caroline in a royal affair, we thought something, there's something here. And after that, it was explosion after explosion of great characters. And I believe when there's a solid, intense, and demanding role, they are going to call you at this point.
I've been lucky to, I mean, in one way, doing a Congley affair and a royal affair was a big step back then, just because I had only done 2 Swedish feature films by that point, and people sometimes, if it's English speaking people, I mean, for me, it was actually my first step doing my, working in a second language. Yeah. It wasn't English. So in one way to do that Danish film was my first international step in a way.
And it was amazing, all the process, because you didn't speak Danish, and Danish is quite a language itself, right?
I mean, it took me some time. I went there and then I really fell in love with it. I think it's pretty sexy, good language, pretty cool. I mean, but it's a lot of just vowels coming out. It's pretty hard, because if you read Swedish and Danish, they're actually quite very similar. But as for a Swedish ear in the beginning, it was pretty tough for me to understand. But I remember my language coach in Copenhagen, she said, it's a big part of the culture here to go out to the bars in the evenings with your film crew, and you should just have like maybe 1, 2, or 3 beers, and you'll be doing better, because you only have like 2 months, so you need to pick up the speed.
How did you convince like a director? I imagine that he had a lot of Danish actors there to pick.
Oh my God!
And how do you convince him? It's me. You have to pick me. I'm the right person for this role. And it was a huge step of confidence in you, right?
Yes and no. I mean, to be honest, what really happened, I had done 2 auditions in Sweden. The first one, I called up the casting director and I was like, just so you know, it's in I think it's been a mistake, because I don't speak Danish. I'm so sorry. And I was like, had been so excited. I knew Nikolai Arcel was directing it, and Mads Mikkelsen was going to be in it, who is an extraordinary actor. But she was like, no. They started to look like in Norway and Sweden as well. So I actually called a friend of mine his mom is Danish, but went to Swedish theater school when she was young, and so she's bilingual. So she recorded all the lines for me, and I just tried to learn them off by heart. I actually saw that videotape like a year later when my Danish was okay, and it was really like the acting, you know, I really went for it, but it's like when you listen to it, it doesn't make any sense. It was really quite bad. But it was really cool. So he took me to Copenhagen. I made a screen test with Mads. And I was so nervous. I came back to the hotel. I remember I called my agent. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get it. Because I just came back from, I had like a drink with the director after the, you know, we had a coffee after the screen test. And he switched to speaking Danish with me. And he said something. And I just like, yeah, I nodded. And then he said it again, and I got so embarrassed. I was like, he knows that I don't understand. And I said, I'm so sorry. What did you say? He was like, I just gave you the part. And I was like, I'm afraid that he kind of, you know, doubted his own decision by that point. But no, I mean, he gave me that chance, and hey, that's kind of what it's all about in the beginning, you know. You kind of, I mean, it's hard. You go in and do your best. That's how you convince, if anything, you know, to prep and to do as much work you can before you go into those auditions. And then it's about, you know, when those people who gave you that chance. And then, of course, when it comes, you need to jump on that train.
And I know that you started wanting to be a dancer. And those plans didn't go through because you hurt yourself, you couldn't perform. I don't know, just. But how did you ended up being switched back to acting or start acting?
It's hard to say where. I started to dance at the Royal Swedish Ballet when I was 9, so I did that for quite a few years. But it's interesting because I always then thought, you know, my mom is an actress, so I grew up watching her and falling in love with the profession and being behind, you know, in the wings of the stage growing up. But it's hard. I don't, you know, my mom actually showed some, like, she had found some old videos of me when I was a kid, and I actually said that I wanted to be an actress. So somewhere, you know, in the beginning of times, that's something I love doing. You know, I love to perform. And in one way, dancing is, you know, it's storytelling as well. So I think in my mind, it was more, it was a very big decision to quit dancing because you train so much for so many years. And I think it was, the hardest thing was actually to tell my teachers and my mentors, you know, who had been with me till 9 p.m. in the evenings and training me and putting, you know, because they put their lives into their students. And then to say, like, do you know what? After 9 years, I think I might not do it. That was probably the toughest. But then, you know, that was my school. I didn't go to, you know, I didn't train in a theater school. But in one way, you know, this was my way of learning how to tell stories.
Did you ever considering going to an acting school, for example?
Yeah, no, I tried. I didn't get in. I couldn't get in.
Have you passed there and saying yeah? No.
No, it's like, you know, it's in Sweden especially. I think it's when you come from, maybe in European countries especially, it's like the idea of working in English was actually just maybe 10 years ago. Like when I saw Noomi Rapace from Sweden, she was like one of the, like I hadn't seen, except for like Lena Olin and Ingrid Bergman, you know, it wasn't really in my mind. When someone said, do you want to be an actress? I wanted to, but I didn't even think, I want to do films in English. In Sweden, you kind of go to the theater and maybe do a few films or work in TV. So that's what I dreamt of. And, you know, I went and tried out and got to the last round like twice, but I didn't get in. And that's when, you know, I almost went, you know, a different route. No, in Sweden, that's definitely what I thought I was going to go through. I thought theater school was it. And I think actually technology made, you know, we all know the world has become so much smaller. And now in a wonderful way, you look for talent and diversity in in the way you tell stories and the people you have in it and the people making it. And I think that was kind of the beginning. It's like when you could do this. I mean, I remember my first 20, I'd never heard anything back, by the way. I did like at least 20 self-tapes. It was my Swedish agent. It's like, it's the thing. It's like you film yourself and then it's like when it took 3 hours to try and edit something on your computer with your, like, you had to have the lead and the video camera and everything. And, so that was still like the beginning of you were able to make an audition across the Atlantic and not be there. So I think that was kind of the beginning. I was lucky to be there when suddenly the world opened up for international actors.
Cool. You have done so many demanding characters. I think you are known for that, for putting muscles, for learning Japanese, Danish, what you name it. What was the most demanding role you have ever performed? What do you consider to be the one that it really took?
I mean, anything before you've taken it on is pretty daunting or scary, Then when you've done it, you've at least put yourself through that experience and it's something different. So I would say that probably my most scary one is still ahead of me. The one I'm going to do next, probably. No, but I mean, I've always I think that's what, a lot of actors and filmmakers and creators in general, it's the, the rush you get of trying to go somewhere new. And I think it's the thrill of stepping into different characters and then having tools, if it's a language or if it's a skill or if it's a trait of a personality. All of those things makes you kind of, get a step way further from yourself and into a character. And I have always, since I was a kid, I think, enjoyed that feeling.
But they are all so cool. How do you pick them? Because I believe that you can pick from several. So you pick the cool ones always. How do you do it?
No, I think to be honest, more and more, it's definitely not how it's the cool aspect. I don't think I ever consider. For me, it's and it's probably become more and more clear over the last few years. It's the people that I choose to work with, to be honest. We make films and it's a final product, but I think for us making them, it's the experience of making them. And more it's been, I'm seeing the months ahead of me that I'm going to spend on a film set and prepping for it and the people I'm going to be with. And even afterwards, it's like I made 2 films this year, and I've been, even during this lockdown period, been seeing edits and been in contact with the director or people in the crew. And it's still like an alive process and collaboration. And that is, I think, more and more, of course, in the beginning, you're just lucky, you just do work, anything. So I think I was very lucky to be given the chances to do some really incredible characters. And then I worked a lot, and some time along the way, I just kind of stopped. And that's when I maybe got the chance to think about why I choose certain projects. And I definitely think it's down to the people that I'm choosing to do it.
Do you rather work with a starting, exciting filmmaker full of passion or an established director?
Every filmmaker is different, like any person is. The interesting thing is to, I've worked with first-time filmmakers, and now when I've been given the chance to do, quite a few in my career, and they've asked me, and I was like, nothing is the same, which is what I love. And I'm very much like, of course, everyone has their own way, how I spend my hours, the things that I find hard, or the hours I put in to learn my text, or to do, walk around in character, or whatever that is. But then I love kind of sitting down with a new filmmaker, if it's an established or if it's a new one, and hear how they want to work. And that is, again, back to the experience. It could be someone who wants to rehearse for weeks and someone you just want to find it on set. And I'm quite open to, you know, talking about different ways of doing things and trying new things. And you know, it's a mix. Like, I was very fortunate. I did a part in a guy called Ferdinando, his film that is coming out hopefully like next year, you know. And then I got to work with David Lowery, who I've loved his work, and we actually met because I kind of reached out as a fan of his work and films, and yeah.
And you have all these massive characters that you really need to work for it. You cannot just show up on set and they appear. Like, you literally learn how to talk robots and move like a robot. So it's a demanding process. When you start building a character, where do you start? Which is the thing? Is their mind, their body, their soul?
Well, the robot didn't have, well, maybe a soul, but she wasn't. No, I mean, for me, it's very, it's quite direct. It's like when I read a script, my just like imagination and fantasy start like working. I don't think I have like a script that I follow in the way I, you know, if it's technical things, of course, you know, that takes time. It's like, you know, to everything from in the beginning, you know, with English was tough, you know, and that is a lot of hours. It's almost like the same work as going to the gym every day. It's just like saying it again and again and again. And like, you know, I always go and take showers, go for a run, and then I, you know, clear my mind again and do it again. So, I mean, that's one thing. And then I think for each time I try and read the script over and over. And then it's like my head starts to play more and more with, oh, you could do it like this or try it like that. And so, and that's another process. Sometimes, you know, I think without thinking, I think my dancing background makes me initially, I like to like finding the physicality of my characters really helps me. And it kind of becomes quite a direct tool when you're on set too, because sometimes you can just, that feels like you're key in, you're tired in the morning. And I'm very much like, when I'm done in the days, I kind of just, I don't stay in character. I go home and do other things, and you know, I'm in the trailer in the morning. But then it's like, if you have that physicality or that voice work that you've really put your time into, then when you just put that on, it's almost like, you know, it's muscle memory for your brain. You kind of like immediately get into character. So I think that's pretty important for me. If I haven't done that work, you know, which is my worst feeling, you know, to feel like you haven't prepped. You know, that's like the things I can have nightmares about sometimes. So I think it's like you want to put down that work and feel like you have a secure way in to feel at home with your own character, and then when you do, it's like then it's okay, because you can do mistakes and you can fall in your butt and all those things, but you kind of feel secure that you know what your character is.
Cool. So Nuno, are you there? It's time to change.
Yay,
yes.
Time.
Alicia,
Bye-bye.
thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
So I'm here in Lisbon. Lisbon was the first shortcut city. You all started here like 10 years ago in this small Portugal. The original concept was to try to bring short films every week. So
Every week, that's amazing.
Every week, yeah, we show, we have sessions every week, every Tuesday now. So it's really amazing because we host almost 600 films just here in Lisbon. So, but we wanted more. We wanted to like have a home for students and new actors and new directors to come and talk about their thoughts about their films and their ideas and their dreams.
Yeah.
So it was very important for us and for new talent, you know. So what I wanted to ask is the same thing that I asked yesterday to Michael, because it could be inspiring for our younger viewers. So I know that you made some short films in the beginning of your career. Do you remember them? and how important was for you to have that experience and that opportunities in the early beginning.
I mean, that is my, that's the way into, being in front of the camera. And I think, it takes some time to learn this craft, like with anything. And actually spoke to Michael about that too, but we started off, we both have done like kind of long run. I did a soap opera in Sweden, and it's the thing of like, I never saw all of them. I think I did like 90 episodes. I mean, it was like 6-7 months, and it was tough. I mean, it's like, it's a tough work because they just write, we did 3 episodes, a week. And if it's short films or if it's craft or you just get to be out there in front of the camera, it's your way in to try things and kind of go back and look at yourself and watch your own work and learn how you work with other people. Because, film sets is a very, communal thing. And especially making independent film or short films, it's like, it's a lot of things that needs to come together for it to work. And I think you need to learn how to work in those groups. So that's, so cool that you're doing it, because I think the wonderful thing nowadays is this. I mean, the fact that you can just, we try, we had to use the video cameras, but nowadays you can really make films. Anyone can, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, people doing short films in mobile phones. So it's
Yes.
a new world to new opportunities. But I find out that you...
And I did a short film, I actually spoke to him 2 days ago. I did a little, it's a Swedish director, I did a film for Vogue, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
But another one. And we hope,
dinner.
now we hope, it's where you meet people, and now we hope to do something. He's, it will be his first feature, but I've seen all the work he's done, and he's incredibly talented, and I know he's going to do well, and I hope we get to do something together.
Yeah, I know, because I found out that films are online now. Everybody could watch them. It's like Magic Dinner Part 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
They are very, very strange. I think it's based on the...
Yeah, it's like when you have 3
episode.
minutes, you need to make it, exciting,
How was that experience? Can you talk a
I think
little
it's,
bit about the
we both love, the Twilight Zone and all those, it's a nice little homage to all that. Yeah.
Do you kept that Ask Me Anything machine? Because it's a machine, right?
Oh, the little, I think Nicholas has it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he kept
beautiful.
it. I mean, it's magical, so, it would be stupid to throw it away.
Yeah, but it's beautiful, the machine. So I found out that you have another film that you made last year. It's called I'm Easy to Find, and it's really easy to find on YouTube. It's like a music film, but it's also an album from The National. It's so beautiful. How did you find yourself in that film? Are you The National fan, or Mike Mills?
Mike Mills, who actually both, but Mike Mills I met a few years back. Again, one of those filmmakers that I actually reached out to, and that it's so cool. When I was kind of coming up, I was such a big fan of his films, and we met maybe 3 years ago, and then we got to know each other, kept in contact, and then we met up I think it was after I had finished Tomb Raider. And I was in LA, and he invited me to come over for brunch at him and his wife's house. So I was like scrambling eggs there in his kitchen. And then he had he was like, it's been a while since he had done his last 20th Century Women, and he had done a lot of commercial work. Mm-hmm. And we both said, we had come from more those, commercial aspects of our work and my bigger film. And we both said, we just want to do something let's just go and do something for fun, just the two of us. And then he was like, let me have a little think. And then, and I said, it would be fun, maybe due to my dancing background, and he's done a lot of music videos, to do something where I get to explore, that play with my physicality. And then he came up with this idea. It was like, well, do you know The National? I was like, yeah. I mean, I actually have a lot of memories, because I I saw them like 2007 the first time in Stockholm. So you know, I'm a big fan, and he's like, yeah, I'm a big fan. So I wrote them like a letter and saying how much of a fan I am, and then they wrote back and said, wow, well, and we said we should do something, and then he told me this idea. It was like, what if you play like all ages without makeup changes or anything, just you? And to be honest, first, I mean, it sounded like it could have been like the bad version of like a theater school kind of assignment. And I was like, oh my God, this can turn, I don't know how this is gonna, you know, work out, but it's Mike Mills and I trust him with my life and heart. He's an extraordinary artist. And then, you know, I'm not gonna say I wasn't terrified when I showed up on set, and I knew it was like, because the kind of lines that you see, there's text for each frame, that was kind of the script. Mm-hmm. So it was just those like descriptions of like, she's born, or like, she's tired, she's whatever it is. So it just like, we set up the cameras. We did 135 scenes or shots in 5 days.
Whoa.
Everyone, you know, it was like everyone got paid the same in the entire crew, and we just met up in this small, like, old asylum, teenage asylum house, where all those houses were. Such a like strange but beautiful place we shot it at. So we were running when the camera crew was setting up the next shot, we were shooting one, and when we jumped over, they prepped the next one. So it was like all set up, and we came in and he put on some music and he's like, well, now you be born. and I was so nervous. I was like, okay guys, I expect you guys to kind of think you know, it was really strange, but after a while it was an interesting experience, because playing, especially ages you've already been in, but way back, after a while, you know, in the beginning it's pretty nerve-wracking doing it in front of other people, but then it's like a weird thing. And when you had the other actors who are my same age as me, who played my mom and dad, we all kind of, they said that they felt like they became their memories of their own parents. And I kind of had little reminiscence of how it was being me at a young age. It was pretty cool to
No, it's so beautiful. And the music is amazing, so everyone should watch it right now after this live. So I just have one more question for you, because I read somewhere that you are like a Google expert and you can't find anything on the internet.
No, I'm just like an organizer. I'm an organizer. Okay.
Because
you know, yeah.
I was wondering if you, now that we are all staying at home, did you find something inspiring, like projects, new artists recently?
I think maybe people, you know, I don't know if they read it differently. What I meant with that is like you know, I like to like structure and organize stuff, and it's like if friends are like, you know, if we're doing anything from trips or to restaurants, or like, you know, it's like on my Google Maps. Google has every single information about me there is, so no privacy at all. But like I've saved like every single restaurant or hotel or bar or anything that I've been to in pins for the last 7 years in all countries I've been in, and like things like that. So it's more like the fun things, you know. It's more, I don't know. Yeah, I'm planning trips. I should start like a, you know, I've said it before actually. I should start like a travel agency.
No, it's not the best time, but sure.
No, I mean, there's other ways. I mean, now it's all about meeting up like this in ways. And if you can't do, you know, live parties now, as everyone knows, Zoom parties is the thing. Yeah.
Hopefully soon you can get back to our lives. So thank you so much. I think Sandra has some questions from our viewers. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you. Hey.
Thank you so much for being here. We have our online community is going crazy. So much people are seeing this, watching this online now. I have selected a few questions for you. We have our team in Maputo, Mozambique. They are always also watching this, and they sent us a question. Is there
Amazing.
any particular role that you always wanted to play but never got the opportunity?
No, I mean, it's hard. I haven't really in my life thought like that, I think, you know. It's mostly if a script comes by, or if it's a story, or I may meet a filmmaker that I really get inspired by, who tells me about an idea they have. It's because it's so interesting with films. It's like, we know you sometimes you can have a great idea of a character that you know read about in school or history, but then it comes down to, it's all about the setting and the world and how a filmmaker, what language they want to tell this story with. And sometimes it can be the most, you know, the most interesting character can be one of the people that we walk past the street every day and we don't recognize. And to see the beauty of that life turn, you know, up on the screen can be the most wonderful part and story. So yeah, I'm always thrilled to look for those characters that's gonna make me feel in a certain way and really excite me.
Yeah, great. Also, we have some followers here watching on SHORTCUTZ Network Facebook page. Gonzalo, he's asking if you have any techniques or theories that you think helped you create your own process. He's an actor, acting student here in Portugal.
What does it mean? If I have any technical...
Yeah, techniques or theories or...
Techniques, yeah, I think prep. Come to set, you know, and feel like you know that you own your work, I would say. For me, I like to, I mean, there's films where you choose to improvise, but then, you know, it doesn't take away that it's good to just, even if I'm going to throw out the lines out the door when I arrive on set, just like going it over, through over and over. I have a technique, like I think I mentioned just briefly a few minutes ago, but I like to take like showers in between me. Like, I'm a very clean actress in the end, you know. No, but it's like, it's a way just to doing something else and then to go back out and like read again. And the same thing with having a nap. I'm taking a lot of naps too. Anything to reset my brain. And then like let the brain do its magic. Because sometimes when you work too hard and you think too much, it's just like it's difficult, and you need to get a bit of like, I don't know, breath.
Just have a pause.
And then it's amazing how you see that the things you pick up. And I think having the time too, because I know myself, I can get back on set or from the end of the day, and I think a lot of us do, and then I wake up in the middle of the night, I was like, why did I do that? And that's both the tough thing and the beauty with filmmaking, because it's like you have one day, you know, of course, big films, you might get a reshoot of one scene, but it's kind of it. So I think, you know, and that's a natural process. But if you've given yourself the time and you've already read it, even if it's just for yourself, you can have a few of those eureka moments at night before you actually film.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I'm giving now the opportunity to our team in Oporto to ask you a couple of questions.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi
there.
Thank you very much.
Thank
we are
you,
from
guys.
Oporto. My name is Luisa and Sama, and since 10 years that we make shortcuts here in the city of Porto, in a place that calls Bad Habits, Maus Hábitos. It's a very nice place. So we were talking about the new technologies and mobile phones to do movies, and it's more easy now to make a movie. And have you already thought directing?
I think it's, yes, I mean, I've realized over the years I've been, you know, acting, that I love filmmaking as a whole. You know, we watch film at home all the time. I've chosen over the last few years to be part of a lot of projects when I'm not only coming in at the point where I turn up on set and we're acting, I enjoy much more to be part of the process when the script is still developing, or when you are part of bringing a team together. And same thing with the edit. Over the last few projects I've done, I've been very fortunate to work with filmmakers who have invited me into the edit, or who continue to send me cuts. And it's almost like when a film is done, I never really see them, but I really enjoy seeing the small tweaks and the process of a film becoming its thing along the way. And with that, I've had some pretty incredible people and that I look up to, that have become my teachers in a way. And I think I'm getting closer and closer to the place where I'm starting to get really eager to try and do something myself.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi.
Are you involved in two movies that the modification process was the issue in the Danish Girl, modification of gender, and Ex Machina, modification to a human. In this case, I ask to you, because the modification is a very important subject now, even in the academy, in the middle of the young scientists. And your character is a kind of a reference, but in inverse way. In this case, they stood how the people can be more like a machine. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that, this kind of desire of the human being became more a machine than
like a cyborg?
Like a cyborg.
First of all, I wonder if it's the modification, like you mentioned, Danish Girl. And there's more the modification, I think, of other people. It's not the modification of gender, because it's actually more about people being allowed to be who they are and not change. And it's more the other people's perception of self and being. And that you can take to Ava as well. It's interesting when I made that film, because there was a lot of, it was like divided. I could have journalists that I met and they're like, oh my God, it's like, what, like I couldn't believe she got out and Ava did that or this. And the other person like, oh my God, thank God she got out. So yeah, I rooted for her, like obviously. And it depends on how you see it. It's like, well, if you see a girl being locked up in a room by two men and do what she does to escape, you would never question it. So it's more in the eyes of the people watching that I think the modification happens. So I think it's a transition that we're doing in the world of accepting new things. I was listening to a podcast this morning about how you now can put in chips in your brain and you can help any kind of diseases that way. And it's just, for me, it's a kind of process that is happening, and with the diversity in our industry and what's happening, I think it's about time. And I think it's a wonderful thing that people seem so much more aware. I'm just thinking about when I made Danish Girl those years back, like to see the transition that we've gone through in the eye of the public over those years is pretty fantastic.
And nowadays we are living a transition too, in these strange days, in this world with the virus. How are you dealing with this?
Like most people, I think, ups and downs. It's in the sense that we're doing this all to make sure that the health workers, especially, and people that are ill now, can get the help needed. But from our industry, or I think we're entering a a place where we'll see the world of filmmaking and how it's going to be broadcast in a very different way. I mean, the fact that people are now, you know, I think the longing and eagerness to see films and escape within stories is as great as ever. But I think now we know that we can bring it much more to our own home, and it's in one way it's an easy, wonderful access you have to filmmaking, in the same way that you can make films on your phone now and send it to your friends on Zoom or something. But yeah, I mean, I love to go to the cinema. I just think it's, you know, and I will continue to do so when I get the chance again, in whatever future that is. But, you know, I think definitely this is what was going to happen, but the lockdown is definitely speeding up that transition.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
but just a moment. I'm so sorry about it, but we are open-minded, and while you are talking, I make a draw of you.
Oh my God!
I hope you don't mind because I draw you without clothes.
I love this. Such a creative space. Amazing.
You draw a kind of.
I'm not gonna show you my drawing. Oh my God! I'm the kind of person, if I play Pictionary, I'm like, I can only do. Like, oh my God! Look, I'm hot. Wow. That's like, that is not how I feel when I wake up here in my house every morning, but I'll take that anyway. That's my Zoom meeting me, for sure. Where's my coffee?
Was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, Sandra, do we have more questions from the internet?
Yes, we have a lot of questions coming, but I selected 2 questions.
Yeah.
One is from Arne. He asks, how did you get noticed by the English film industry? What advice would you give to foreign actors who want to play in English films?
Like I mentioned before, I'm giving a lot of credit to the fact that the world was kind of changing around that time. But I think my main reason was that I had some work to kind of show for when I started to make my English auditions. Because actually my first audition that ended, you know, that I came quite far in, and that made me meet my American agents and my English agents, was through a casting director called Susie Figgis. It was for Snow White and the Huntsman, and I think they tested like hundreds of girls from all over the world at the moment. But you know, I was allowed to do a tape first, and they would only allow a certain amount of people to come to the room. And I was like, I'll buy a Ryanair ticket, I'll use my last bit of money, I'll go to London, maybe I can do it in the room, because I never hear anything back on my video things I did. And then we sent Till det som är vackert, or Pure, which is my first Swedish feature that I made. And that was, of course, a wonderful kind of showcase. It was, you know, a fantastic role for me to get as my debut film, where I got to stretch my muscles and really perform. And that one became a film that then casting directors could see. So, and I think that is still, that weighs a lot. The wonderful thing is, though, as we talked about, that you can make films yourself now. But I really think also playing in your own language first makes you really feel comfortable, and I think practice doing that first. I mean, I'm happy that I at least, when I was 20, I had at least been in front of the camera for 7-8 years by the time I was 21 or 22. And, you know, I practiced working in my mother tongue, and then, you know, I got to showcase that. And then, of course, put in hours and hours and hours of making sure that you start feeling comfortable in English. For me, I could have started earlier. That's the one thing I would say if I was, you know, 10 years or 15 years younger now, I would really, you know, talk English as much as I can, because that is the tough thing in the beginning, because it's like a small filter between your thought and your language. And it's hard in the beginning. It made me feel like I was, you know, holding back. I was amongst English-speaking actors, and it just flowed. And for me to get that flow, I needed a lot of hours to prep, much more. You know, you couldn't just show up on set. So I think, yeah, I would say practice English and then just do as much material as you can. Work as much as you can so you can show your own film and get your own work out there.
Thank you so much, Alicia. We are getting a lot of questions about starting acting. We have a lot of young actors watching us online. So thank you for the advice.
Yeah.
I would also like to ask you something that our team in Caldas da Rainha here in Portugal sent. A little bit about the drawing that Sama made. So you've done plenty of period pieces. How does your process as an actress change looking into the past compared to movies set in modern days or the near future like Tomb Raider and Ex Machina?
I think amazing thing I think I noticed when I did my research for, let's say, A Royal Affair. Of course, I had to go almost 300 years back in time, and I think you have an idea. You read history books and you see these images, and of course we don't have video from back in that time, so it's a much more imagination that is needed. And then you're kind of fed with the social structures of that time and think that somehow, or I did, applies to how people behave. And then I had this amazing gift when it was actually a professor, I think in the UK, who had at some time, 30, 40 years ago or something, gathered Caroline Matilde, the princess, all letters that she sent back to her family that she never met again at the English court. And she was, of course, I had read so much about her, and, you kind of made up your own mind. Even I was a young woman. I was like, yeah, well, she was married off, and she was 18 years old, and, she started an affair with a much older man, and, she went on this journey and became enlightened. And then I read her letters. First of all, like the wording of this young woman, she's already wrote in 4 languages. She was making fun, like it was a lot of letters to her uncle. And it felt like I had a female voice of another girl sitting at a cafe next to me. It was just, she was talking about things that maybe aren't in my normal life. But it was just, I remember there was this sentence, she was like, just trying to say to her uncle, like, I look down at the stables every day and I see these men who just jump up on their horses and just run off. And it's like the dream I have every day. I just want to get on that horse and I'm going to leave and I'm going to go down and I'm going to travel in Europe and I'm going to see the world. And then she switches to Latin and talks about her, and it's I was so amazed. I was like, what an incredible young woman. And that gave me such perspective. And I felt like I learned something from this woman 300 years ago. And it really shows that I don't, especially as a woman of that time, but I don't think that people change that much, or that's what I realized. Human emotion is kind of the core and kind of the same, and then it's amazing to kind of think of that and then just put yourself in other social structures and norms and think, how would you behave in those situations? And I think that's when, that was something Nikolai Arcel in that movie thought about a lot too. He was like, he made the wigs a bit shorter and took away a bit more of the white makeup. He was like, I just do that so a modern audience don't feel like it's a filter between, because I still believe that those people are, just like us.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guido? Hello, Guido. Do you have some questions straight from Italy?
Hello, Alicia. Thank you very much for your ability and welcome virtually to Italy.
Thank you. I hope to be back. I was just back. I was just filming in northern Italy, in January, in February.
Where?
Just outside Milan.
Outside Milan.
By the Como Lake.
Como
Like
Lake.
literally, yeah. I mean, yeah. So at
Very
least I got to enjoy the beauty of Italy just before this all happened.
Yeah. Okay, we are from Adriatic Film Festival, an independent film festival, and we have collected some questions from Italian audience. The first one is, Mary Streep says, acting is not about being someone different, it's finding the similarity in what is apparently different. So the question is, what is the role you found more similar to you and more different to you?
I think that's the question for other people who've seen it. I think the work all the time is to try and do what is the most difficult, to get away from yourself, you know? I think that's where you, of course, those are your tools. That's what you work with, your experiences and your insight and people and maybe yourself or your idea of others or yourself. So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really thought of it, but sometimes I think yes, like you said, it's the beauty when you make a scene where you on the paper feel like this is so far away how I would ever react, or, you know, actually Danish Girl is a good point. I mean, I could read and I was like, that thing when someone is actually able to see things from a positive view a lot, you know, someone who's really struggling to see and to see someone else and not put yourself first and be kind. And I want to be that person, but it was amazing to kind of play, and I had to like really find, it was like one part of me just like, come on, like why wouldn't you, like I felt like Alicia wanted to like raise my voice or react in another way, and it was like the role itself taught me, I was like, no, you can actually find it from some place to see it differently, and it's okay, and those, you know, that's cool. That's what I love with acting. I love having those moments when you're on set and you're actually like, it's like a bit of magic and everyone feels it, and you went somewhere and it surprised you. It's like all aside with all that prep thing I'm talking about, when you're actually doing it, it's just
wonderful.
Yeah, and you know, and it's unexpected, and you know, yeah.
Talking about inspiration, do you have any actress who inspired you?
I've said it so many times. I got to meet her now and say to her face, she had read some. Isabelle Huppert was a very yeah. When I was like a young teenager, I mean, it's pretty challenging roles she did, but those were the things that stuck with me. I'm like, wow, I want to do whatever she does. It was like, you know, seeing somebody enter the storm, and I wanted to do that too.
I also read that you are a producer, Vicarious Production.
Yes.
Do you have any suggestion? What kind of project you would like to evaluate? So.
I'm working on a few projects since the last kind of 2 years. Some of them that, you know, the two of them that we have scripts for and we're developing. And I think it's mostly you need to find stories that you care about, you know, and I think when you do, it comes easy, you know, then you kind of get inspired by its own self, if it's the character or if it's the world or if it's, you know, and then I think a big part of it is also finding the right people, you know, as we said, it's like finding the right group, if it's the writer or the other collaborator, or finding a director from early on, and but yeah.
Maybe producing in Italy too, why not?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to be in Italy, so that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Greetings from Italy.
Grazie.
Sandra, some questions, the last ones from the audience?
Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry.
I wonder how many times we've all said that.
Sorry, it was me. I thought I was talking a lot, but I was saying nothing. I was asking if Sandra has some more questions from the audience.
We have a lot of questions actually, but maybe maybe Pook has some questions from the student hotel because we are reaching our limit.
Yeah, I will ask you a question, Alicia.
Sure, go for it.
I'm wondering when you prepare for a role like Lara Croft, for example, that has been played before. I'm imagining it can be some pressure added to it than just a normal role. And so when you prepare for it, do you think about I want to bring these new aspects to the role? And if so, yeah, what goes through your mind at this time?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, for that particular one with Tomb Raider, I mean, I grew up watching Angelina Jolie being Lara, and I mean, it was one of the first ever times I had seen a woman in an action role, and I thought it was super cool. And I used to play the games when I was a kid, and I was thrilled. And you know, when I got the part, I was introduced to you know, the kind of reboot version of this game that they had made, and saw that it was quite a, you know, a different in. And I think the wonderful thing is, to be honest, if you follow, you know, I think a lot of some people have, you know, looked down upon if, you know, the early Tomb Raider or Lara Croft were sexist and all those things. And what I said, well, it's actually just, you know, it's a proof of what society looked like back then. The beauty, I think, and I give that to the games company and the people, you know, behind that character. Like, if you see the involvement over time, Tomb Raider Lara Croft has done the same journey as the rest of the world, and I felt like, wow, it's really like an essence of a really cool, you know, female action hero here that I'm excited to bring to the modern audience, so I kind of felt more like an honor that I got to redo something that I really appreciate when I was growing up. So yeah. No, you know, saw it from that point.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have to make this question, otherwise people can kill us. What about Tomb Raider 2?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can make it here, maybe. I've been training like most of the other people in my house a lot in the morning. I've actually helped with my friends. We've met up every morning at the same hour and like done like burpees and stuff. I mean, I was so thrilled. Yeah, Ben Wheatley, who I think is an extraordinary filmmaker. We almost, you know, we're trying to make this film called Freak Shift about 2 years ago. And then when the studio wanted to make another go, and they were interested in bringing Ben and his wife Amy on to pen the script, I was like really excited, and you know, we were working on it and being in prep, but now of course everything has stopped and you just don't know anything, like no one does at the moment. So you know, I think the most important thing now is that we kind of have to, you know, we do the work that we can, and then we just need to make sure that everything's safe and fine, and try and do the work we can to make sure that, you know, we don't do a crazy transitioning opening too fast. We need to, you know what we're doing. So hopefully I'll have an answer in a few months, or you know, but it's, yeah, I really do hope we can get to make it.
Fingers crossed. Alicia, thank you so much for this interview. I believe our community learned a lot, and I think my colleagues want to say goodbye. Tchau in Portuguese. Tchau.
Adeus.
Adeus.
It's been lovely. Thank you so much for having me, and for everyone who sent questions. It was cool. Yeah, you made my day. We all need a bit of this when we're stuck in one space. Sending much love. Take care. Be safe and well.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.